Thank you, Mark. That was a good effort. Yeah. we joked earlier that he was the unlucky guy that pulled the Slovenian guy. He had to introduce the Slovenian guy. Anyway, I'm Mišo Toplancic. I'm leading the product management team at NiceLabel. And since this is a technical conference, and I know we have a lot of developers in the room, I'd like to emphasize that I was a developer not too long ago. So before I joined the dark side. Anyway, I still know a thing or two or speak your language. So although this presentation definitely has a marketing spin on it, I do seriously believe that there's real tangible value, real technology that we have to show, we have available for you. So feel free to come, find me after the end. We have our booth over there. We can speak also on the technical side of things. Now, over the next few days, you're going to hear a lot about connecting devices and managing these devices. And what we're trying to do today, we're trying to provide the missing piece of the puzzle. And this is how you manage and create and manage the output that goes through the Zebra printers and that enables the visibility further on. Now, as we speak to potential customers, partners, and everybody that operates in the market, what we really see is that in many cases, the printing is kind of a last-minute problem to solve. Companies are using many fragmented pieces of software, legacy approaches, IT-heavy operations to deal with labeling. And what we're trying to do today, we're trying to show you a next-generation printing made easy. So we're trying to show you a platform that will enable you to optimize printing operations for your customers and create real end-user value. So a quick look through the agenda, just a slide about NiceLabel, who we are, where we come from, what do we do. Then we're going to talk a little bit about change. We hear about change all the time. We see that our industry in general is going through a lot of change. And we're going to tell you a little bit about how it looks from our perspective. We're going to introduce what we call a label management system. And finally, I'm going to wrap up in how LMS helps connecting the Zebra ecosystem together. Sounds good? All right. So about NiceLabel. NiceLabel we are a software developer and solutions provider. We have been in the business for about 25 years. Our headquarters are based in Slovenia, Europe. And this is also where we have our biggest operations, and we have our complete development team based in there. We also have other US, EMEA, and APAC sales, service, and support teams that help us support our global operations. And very importantly, for the last 12 years, we cooperated very closely to Zebra as a supplier of the software, as we provided them with their label printing software, label design software, Windows printer drivers, and printer setup utility. Now, this is a big honor for us to be a vendor of choice for a company like Zebra. But more importantly, what this relationship allowed us to do is really develop technology that works best with Zebra printers, that works best in the Zebra ecosystem. So you can be sure that if you use NiceLabel, you will be able to support the Zebra ecosystem very nice. Now, we have seen the really fundamental change from our perspective going on in the market. It's been going on for about 5 to 6 years, and our company has doubled and continues to grow really nicely on top of that change. But we also think that we have only scratched the surface, that there is a big opportunity that lies ahead of us, of all of us that play a part. But before we do that, let's maybe just talk a little bit about why printing. And I really like the slide before, I think it was in James' presentation, where he was showing the visibility stack. And if you remember, the lowest part of that was you could see a lot of printers and scanners, there was hardware. So what we like to say is that printing really enables visibility across the supply chain. Without barcodes, without RFID tags, there's nothing to track, there's nothing to see. So one other thing is that there are a lot of labels and documents that are printed across the complete supply chain, from base material being produced to the actual product being shipped to the customer's hands. Now, the nature of the printing operations might be different. For example, we see a lot of complexity in the production area. We see a lot of different templates that need to be accommodated. We see a lot of aggregation happening where data is coming from different business systems and so on. Whereas, for example, in warehouses, you would see a lot of mobility. You would see high volumes of printing and so on and so on. And very importantly is that Nice Label provides a platform that spans across the complete supply chain and helps deal with printing across all operations. Now, what we have seen in the last few years is really that the companies of all sizes, from small to medium businesses to big global enterprises, are modernizing. They are rethinking and taking a different perspective on how they support printing across their operations. What they're looking to do is they're looking to simplify, they're looking to standardize, and they're looking to centralize. Mainly this is happening, we believe, because they are looking to mitigate risk, they're looking to optimize process, and they need to increase agility. We've heard a little bit about the economics of now and all that before, and that means that the complete supply chain, to the last piece of the puzzle, which might be printing, has to adapt to this changing world, and new levels of agility are needed. Sorry. So one other thing, what companies do realize is that when they do take this better approach to labeling, and when they do modernize their system, they see a significant and very fast return on investment and a lot of savings. And we recently started to present this as an iceberg, because it's really the cost that they have in terms of supporting their labeling and printing operations is really not very visible to them today. Normally, they will see what we call direct costs. They will see the cost of hardware, they will see the cost of supplies, they will see also the cost of software licenses. They will have a feeling about the labor costs. So they know how many people they have to support their operations and all that. But they normally don't really understand how much overhead is in there, how much time could be freed, how much IT resources could be freed by optimizing the printing part of their business. But this is not, this is the smallest, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is why companies are looking to optimize their systems. But when they actually implement them, what they realize is that the savings are coming also from two other areas. And this is what we call indirect and opportunity costs. Now, indirect costs and examples would be the cost of errors, the cost of shipping delays, the cost of compliance fines, or quality assurance costs, what they need to do to assure that the labeling is always right. But more importantly, this is really something that in many cases surprises them, is the opportunity cost. Because they realize, because when they implement a new business system, even to do just with the labeling, that in many cases they are able to sell more. They really capture the opportunity to otherwise be lost. I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but since we touched on retailers and the need to adapt, we have a really nice case with one of the biggest fashion retailers in the world. And they recently implemented a label management solution from Nice Label. Now, the initial implementation happened because of the direct cost, because they thought they have a way to streamline the operations. But what happened is that the new technology enabled them to create a new application. The new application in their distribution centers that allowed them to do retagging that was normally a long outsourced operation to be done in real time directly in the distribution centers. And what this allows this retailer to do is to put the product back on shelf immediately, or to move the product from one store to another, from one market to another, much faster, much more agile than they did before. And this is a very important part for them. This is a real case where agility really matters. For example, if a garment gets returned into the store and it takes a month to be retagged and relabeled to be put back on store, you have lost the season. But if you can do it with this new application, if you can do it in the distribution center, this really enables you to put the product back on the shelves and have it sold in the same season. And this particular retailer does 20 billion in annual sales. Now imagine if they just move 1% more, if they are able to send 1% more because products are out there, products are on the shelves and not being retagged in their supply chain. And just one of the examples where the opportunity cost was really, really visible. And in fact, the comment from that retailer was, after they implemented the first 2 or 3 distribution centers, they said, okay, our business has realized that this application obviously has a brutal, that was the exact word they used, brutal return on investment, and we want to scale out as fast as we can. Now, we think that label management solutions are what is happening in terms of printing in the market. So companies that would normally buy or rely on legacy systems or IT-heavy systems, like printing directly from ERP systems, having IT-heavy operations where labels would be hard-coded in ZPL and so on, they are now moving into adopting modern label management systems. When we did our market sizing, we actually think that about 7 to 10 million printers are out there that could be modernized, so the software that prints to those printers could be modernized to label management system over the course of the technology adoptions. So we actually think that LMS as a technology is just at the beginning of the product adoption curve, and it will create a big opportunity that exceeds €1 billion to be spent in label management solutions over the course of next few years. And that's the opportunity for you to be taken if you sell those solutions. And what I also want to point out in this slide here is that this is normally starting in companies modernizing using their existing installed base of hardware. So this is not following the sales of new hardware. This LMS system, adoption of LMS is growing much faster than new sales of the hardware. But what we do see is that when companies modernize the software, this then also opens the door for a hardware refresh. So this number here doesn't count what the revenue that could be generated, because this technology enables new business cases, new visibility platforms that leverage the modern hardware and trigger the hardware refresh for those customers. So actually the application that I just talked about, it created a new application that generated about 200 Zebra printer sales. So what is a label management system? There's a lot more to label management system that I can describe here. So again, I encourage you to visit and talk to me afterwards. But this really is a business system that manages the entire life cycle of label and printing throughout the entire operations for a company. I'm just going to point out 3 integral points in this presentation. First one is the label designer. Now, within the LMS, what we did is we really put the label design role where it belongs. It belongs into the hands of the business user. So the business user, they don't know about ZPL. They shouldn't know about ZPL. They shouldn't know about printer commands. As soon as you do that, you're relying on IT, and IT really shouldn't be involved in operation like that. They have other things where they can spend their time more valuable. So with our latest incarnation of the designer, we took another step forward. We really created the experience that is as simple as possible, and we delivered the experience that really mimics the experience that almost every user in the world is familiar with, and that's the Office experience. So anybody that ever worked with an Office application should be able to create a label design that fits within the LMS system. And not only these label designs are easily created, they're also universal and very smart. That means that they can be reused for any different device, for any different resolutions and all that. And they also include capabilities that aren't achievable just by hard coding templates in a printer command language. The next, probably the most integral part of the system, is what we call a document management system. Document management system really is a central point of the platform, which enables security, enables collaboration, visibility, as well as provisioning for print operators. The document management system from NiceLabel is completely web-based, so it can be accessed from any device, from any operating system, even beyond the corporate network. It's very important because it enables really nice provisioning and works across different ecosystems. So sometimes we like to when we are explaining to customers, we like to explain this, that this is almost almost like a SharePoint, but SharePoint on steroids, and SharePoint that's been really tailored for labeling operations. And finally, the thing that brings it all together is the integration system. The integration system is a platform that allows LMS to integrate with many other business systems, with other mobile devices, with other hardware and so on. It's a configurable platform, so you don't need to program, but you can graphically build those integrations together. In fact, because the integration system is very important for the story we have for you today, let me expand a little bit more on that. So the first important entity within NiceLabel integration, LMS integration system, is what we call triggers. Triggers really are connectors to different pieces of software or hardware. Now, any device or any software that has some data and can communicate via any of the standard interface, might this be a simple file-based file drop, file-based interface, or database table record being entered, or modern HTTP web service calls. Everything can be integrated with NiceLabel integration system. The second important entity is filters. If triggers allow us to connect to anything, filters allow us to understand anything. So with filters, we can parse and understand any payload, any data format that's being passed to the system. This can be obviously any kind of structured data, XML files, but even unstructured data or binary, which comes handy when you have to do legacy system modernization and you might not be able to change the format provided by this legacy system. And then the third one, the third entity, which is really important, is the actions. The integration systems comes with more than 40 pre-built actions, which can be tied together to build any kind of workflow, to execute business rules and execute workflows that adhere to a certain process. Now, obviously, this can do printing, but it can do much more than just printing. It can actually run business rules, it can actually run workflows to basically support your mobile application on the back end. So how this all comes together? You probably made the connection that we are using the integration system for that, and we have a number of partners even sitting in there that have been relying on our integration system to power their warehousing operations and all that for a while, basically printing from mobile devices and all that. But recently we also decided to go a step further and make it easier for you. And what we did is we used our standard platform, standard integration platform, and then we pre-built an integration for you. And what this pre-built configuration does, it exposes an extendable REST API. This REST API can be consumed by your mobile application directly. It can be consumed by your backend system for your mobile applications and really provide printing capability and beyond to your application. So a few examples of what is pre-built. The interface obviously allows smart printing to network connected printers. And here I really want to emphasize smart, because smart means a lot of things. Smart means that changes to the label designs are done by a business user in a familiar environment. Smart means that all the changes are automatically provisioned to all the mobile devices, to all the printers, automatically by the document management system. Smart means that the labels are portable across the complete portfolio, complete fleet of printers. Smart means that the templates can adapt to different data payloads, resize the font, format the font according to certain regulations and things like this. Things that wouldn't even be achievable with a hard-coded template, or you would need to manage many more and more. It can generate printer commands, and it can return the printer commands to your applications. This is handy if you want to use Bluetooth printers, maybe in a field force operation where you need some kind of offline connectivity. It can also create electronic documents like PDF, label preview documents that can be then shown to the customer on screen and so on. And we have pre-built features that allow you to consult printer statuses, that allow you to list all the available printers and execute logic based on that, and many more. But what's important is that this is easily extendable. This is just a standard configuration that's open, that's being pre-built for you on our integration platform. But what you can do, you can take the integration builder and you can configure it and extend it without any limitations. I mentioned before, it goes way beyond printing. There are more than 40 actions, and just one of them is print. Everything else helps you build different workflows. A few examples of what you can do: you can extract, transform the data, you can apply different business rules, you can communicate with other third-party systems like via web services and other interfaces. You can obviously consult databases and execute different SQL operations, and more and more. We can show you many more examples out there. So on this event, I'm focusing on mobile devices. The topic is here mobility, and we're talking about mobile devices, and our demo here is tailored to the mobile devices. But LMS actually is much more. LMS enables printing across the complete supply chain, and it actually, the integration system interfaces with mobile devices, with PCs, with tablets, and on the other hand, with different business systems that are being used across the supply chain. This might be ERP systems, manufacturing execution systems, warehouse management systems, and many others. So the limit is really not just the mobile device, although we are kind of focusing on that for this presentation. So a quick summary. We try to introduce a next generation way of printing, and this is enabled by the technology that we call label management system. Our goal within Nice Label is to make LMS simple so it can be adopted by those early adopters in the customers. We see many examples that make us believe that this is a huge opportunity that has only started, and LMS really is a platform for you guys to build a solution and carve out the piece of the pie that will be, I will believe, distributed in the following years. Finally, visit us at the Nice Label exhibit out there. We have some demonstrations ready for you. We can discuss deeper technical aspects of the solution. And last but not least, we are giving one Amazon Echo away to a lucky guy or girl that gives us your card. Thank you.